Doug MPA back with another video. Guys, we all know what happens to modern women right around 35. They smash into the wall. The attention from men falls off the cliff. Their fulfillment from their high stress job starts to go away, and they start thinking about marriage and children, but by then it's too late. Well, you have some women who are lucky enough to be able to push off the wall into their 40s. And most of them write articles like this: I'm 40, unmarried, and not looking for anyone's sympathy. This Christina Pinter girl, this is her testament. She's lucky enough where she's still getting fulfillment from her career in her 40s, probably still getting attention from men because she's not ugly. But guys, we all know stuff like this is cap because this is her 40s. But what are her 50s gonna look like? We all know she's gonna start writing articles about how she's invisible to men. She can't find a good man. She's gonna try to adopt the child or do something crazy like go through IVF in her 50s. We all know it's coming, guys. So we're gonna read through this article. Before I do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It shows you support me and what I'm doing over here. And let's get into this. She said, Christina Pinta is an unmarried real estate professional in New York City. Questions about her choice not to get married often come up in the workplace and her social life. She wants to make it clear that many women are thrilled to be single and happily choose to stay so. My only problem with this is men control access to relationships. If you don't have guys asking you to be in a relationship or claiming you as a girlfriend, you're not choosing to be single. That's just what these women don't understand. It's the same as some freaking loser guy in his mom's basement eating Cheetos saying, "Oh yeah, I choose not to have sex." You're not choosing to not have sex. No girl wants to sleep with you. She says, heading into my third round of interviews for a high level position at a commercial real estate firm in 2019, I was excited and meticulously prepared. I'd analyzed market trends for weeks, brushed up on recent trades, and reviewed industry affairs. I wasn't prepared, however, for the covert line of questioning into my personal life. Glancing at the top of my resume, my interviewer made note of the Manhattan neighborhood I live in. Nice area. My wife and I had just had dinner there last night. Do you live alone? He asked me. Suddenly, my mind was racing. How do I answer this? I'm already feeling juvenile compared to the family photos. Number one dad mug and framed accomplishments displayed around his office. If I say I live alone, I'll sound behind in life for words bankrolled by my parents. Should I admit I can only afford it because I also work a night job waitressing and occasionally rent out my second room? If I say I live alone, do I seem like a lonely spinster or an unstable party type? I did have a serious boyfriend at the time who stayed over most nights. Should I stretch the truth and say I have a steady living partner to give assurance that I have my life together? Guys, let me tell you, my day job, most executives are married. Almost like 95% are married. Men and women reach a cap when it comes to management if you're married or not. This is men and women. Married people want other married people around, and it's still something that you have to think about. Honestly, guys, if you're watching this video, think about the executives of your organization. Are they married? The answer is probably yes. Now, should he have asked, "Do you live alone?" in an interview? Probably not. But his expectation is that if you're going to the senior level, that you're married. Says, my mind raced until I caved and said, yes, I'm fortunate I got a great deal on a apartment, but my partner and I will be consolidating housing in the near future. Let me go back to this. She said, should I admit I can only afford it because I also work a night job waitressing and occasionally renting out my second room? This is what women want to do in their 40s instead of partnering with a man. I just did an article on how most people with multiple part-time jobs in the United States are women. I think it's 65%. That's what you get, ladies. That's what independence costs you. Why I felt the need to offer disclaimers in my answer may have had more to do with the societal conditioning than my own personal neurosis, but nonetheless, Now I was berating myself for opening a new can of worms. Now I would run the risk of being considered a soon to be maternity leave liability. There was really no winning here. And and this is a perfectly reasonable concern. The fastest growing group of single mothers in the United States are women between the ages of 33 and 37. There are more and more women who are, are trying to go through IVF as single mothers in their early 40s. So this, you being considered a soon-to-be maternity leave liability, is a perfectly reasonable concern for an organization whose who, whose best and brightest positions have to work long, hard hours. So I was 36 at the time and felt that women of a certain age are either perceived as severely independent and abrasive or high risk for personal leave absence. Yes, like I said, that's a perfectly reasonable concern. Women get asked loaded questions. I recently turned 40 and have called New York City home for the better part of my adult life. That's probably another reason why she's still single. Because women from New York City and women from Philadelphia are the most abrasive, aggressive women in the United States. Tell me I'm wrong, guys. After graduating from college, I spent a few years working as a chef and took on various roles in the hospitality industry before transitioning into a full-time career as a luxury real estate broker. So odds are she's still doing this in her 40s because she has that imposter syndrome. She wants to make it look like she's high flying and has it all together and has her Manhattan office. Imposter syndrome because she came from working as a chef into this world. These days, I manage several large scale projects and find myself facing a slew of loaded questions regarding my marital status. I'm not alone in this. My fellow single girlfriends agree that questions we receive are out of a playbook and depend on our answers. We are often met with conciliatory patrimony or harsh criticism. I hate to break this to you, ladies, but guys get the same thing. Doug MPA is black. You know how many people, and it doesn't have any children, and is not married. You know how many people assume that because I'm a black male, I have multiple kids by multiple women? You know how many times I've been asked in job interviews if I played basketball because I'm 6'3"? I've had people look at the college I went to and ask me if I played basketball in a job interview. You know what? I didn't care. Who cares? You either get the job or you don't. Being single can be a mixture of freedom and frustration all at the same time. A survey of 1,064 singles in the U.S. conducted by this place found that 69% of those surveyed were content with their singleness and 91% said that they were enjoying their independence. Recently, I received an unoriginal yet perplexing question via Instagram. A man who had tried to ask me out several times over the years resurfaced after divorcing. The message read, "Hi, Christina. I've always had such a thing for you, and I hold you in high regard. I'm recently separated and would love to take you out. One thing I just can't seem to understand is how on earth are you single?" Okay, so how can she get offended by this question? At least she's still having guys approach her. Doug MPA's in his 40s. I don't approach 40-year-old women at all. As a 40-year-old successful man, why would I do that? I don't have to. I told you, the party hasn't ended for this girl yet. She's in her 40s. She probably waits tables at a nice restaurant at night. Probably gets attention from men, but that party's gonna end, guys. It always does. How did he expect this to be perceived? Is this a compliment, a question, a judgment, or all of the above? It was the third message of this nature I'd received, and I decided to take to the internet with a public reel rather than respond to his poorly received DM. It was not directed at this particular individual, but rather all men and individuals who invade women's spaces with these questions and inferences. Who invade women's spaces. This is why don't approach women in public, man. Don't send women DMs over freaking Instagram, guys. Don't do it because this is how it's perceived. And also, remember, women don't approach men at all, but they will criticize on how you do it. And also, if this guy who wrote this message right here was somewhat attractive, this would have gone completely differently, guys. but he was probably goofy looking, probably fat, out of shape, and now she's clowning him. And then, of course, she has to do a public reel on Instagram. I receive applause from various friends, mostly female, but a couple of my supportive and progressive guy friends as well. Oh, yeah, you mean your beta male orbiter simps. Then I received quite a defensive and angry response from the man who had messaged me several times questioning my single status. The underlying message is that women are damsels, pretty flowers, and just waiting to be plucked. Those that are seemingly single are the unchosen ones, and there must be some derogatory explanation as to why they are still on the market. And that's pretty much true 90% of the time. Women have multiple chances in their life, especially if they're somewhat attractive, to get out of this dating market. Guys, dating sucks for men and women. Why would you choose to be out here? Dating sucks, especially in New York City. That's the question. It doesn't seem to occur to me that there are women who are thrilled to be single and happily choose to stay so. The happier the woman, the more we prefer our own company rather than compromise our happiness to be a status quo. And that's fine. It's just why you gotta go on Business Insider and write articles like this. Some of us choose not to get married or not to marry until a later age. Do so because we hold life to a certain standard and are not willing to conform due to pressure. But once again, women have to get their lives together way before men do. You can thank the creator for that. I would love to see the narrative change in the coming years. If a woman says, "No, I'm not married," instead of a sympathetic look, how refreshing would it be to hear, "That's awesome," followed by a new question about our interests? Let's celebrate other. Uh, uh, let's celebrate the other accomplishments in a woman's life. Blah 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 blah. Guys, this girl, the party hasn't run out yet, but it will. Remember the name Christina Pensa, because I guarantee you, 5 years from now, see me write a blog about how lonely she is, how trash men are, how she wishes she would have had a kid. She's gonna be putting reels on Instagram about the different choices she should have made in life. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.